Hi, very good morning. In this video, I just wanted to explain difference between LSMW and LTMC and how many types of LSMWs we have, how many types of LTMCs we have, and which type of load method we have to choose, when to choose. Okay, these all things we will explain. Basically, this video is for completely beginners to data migration. So in typical data migration project, we basically use LSMW and LTMC. Okay. See, LSMW is a very old, like we used to have ECC system. Later we got S4HANA system. The current trending system is S4HANA system. Okay. This ECC system, we have it from this ECC tool, LSMW tool, we have it from older systems also. And SAP is strictly not encouraging this because they didn't develop the LSMW properly. Okay. So first of all, coming to LSMW, LSMW is very easy to use compared to LTMC. Okay. And still, even though LSMW is not recommended by SAP, most of the projects still using LSMW because it is working. Whenever it is not giving issue, it will work. So in LSMW, we have object-based migration. We can stick to one object. We have enough information. We can update the fields, tables, then load. Okay. If the business criteria is satisfied with the existing LSMW or created LSMW, so then this will work. And LSMW is recommended for initial loads when you are loading master data and you have very limited amount of data because basically LSMW is a slow time process. So initial loads nothing but creating a master data, one time transfer of data. LSMW mostly works with create data, not the update data. So in periodic transaction, basically most of the people, not everyone, nobody recommends LSMW because LSMW is for create purpose. Still, LSMW might work for updates also, but it is not guaranteed. And why it is very famous? LSMW can be used by data developer, not the ABAP developer. See, we don't need to know the ABAP itself to work on LSMW, first of all. So it is very interactive, like how you create data in the system with a GUI. Like that only LSMW will work. But LSMW can be controlled because see, not everyone will have access to all the T codes. Okay, some people will have access to some T codes. So LSMW is controlled when we develop our LSMW program on top of a T code. It can be controlled by our access. Okay, if a person who doesn't have access to a T code, the LSMW developed on top of the T code, if that person run that LSMW, it won't work for him. So it's user based authorization. And in LSMW, we have total four approaches. Okay, so I will show this in GUI itself in the next video. So just this is a glimpse type of basic video. Okay, in LSMW, we have direct input and batch input recording and BAPI and IDOCS. See, direct input is directly updating the backend tables. No more screen processing. Proceeding directly with the direct. So basically there are standard programs are available. Those programs will support LSMW. We can use those standard programs and develop the LSMW. That is direct input. Okay, but initially, like I told you, LSMW is not developed properly, first of all. So we don't have enough standard programs to support all kinds of objects. Okay, coming to batch input recording, this is very famous. Most of the people used to record their activity in a T code, then create a LSMW on top of it, then work on it. Simple. The program will execute, same steps will repeat, and data will get created. Like how we create in a GUI, those steps will recorded, so those steps will keep on repeat. So okay, that is how LSMW will work in batch input recording. This is widely used method. Standard direct input nobody is using, very few people using, because these managers and directors they don't want to risk directly updating the backend info even there is a standard approach, because there is a lack of talent. Most of the managers and leads they doesn't have enough scope on SAP, but because of their experience, because of lack of there is lack of availability, even though they don't have enough skill, they don't have enough knowledge, they are still becoming managers, they are still becoming leads. So they will ask ATS because they don't know how much time a task will take. These things will happen if you learn this stuff. So you once you become managers, you will know business more easily, better than them basically. So learn this stuff. You will be good managers, good directors, good delivery leaderships. So you know how to develop an object. You can give proper estimates, right? Yeah. Okay. Another approach is BAPI approach. Here, the ABAP code, there is a function module that is exposed to BAPI. That function module will be used. Okay. That BAPI will directly update the database tables and any programs, any logs. So these BAPIs will be backend for the LSW. This is one approach. The last approach, less used approach is IDOC, and we need to instead of direct IDOC transmission, we will connect that IDOCs into the LSW. So we need to establish the inbound IDOCs and partner profile. Once LSW runs, data comes through IDOCs. Later we reprocess the IDOCs so that data will be posted into our S4 system. This only will works between the SAP systems. Okay. Yeah. Coming to first approach, batch input session. Okay. Direct input session, not batch. See, direct input is nothing but standard programs. Just like I said, there are some existing programs. Those existing programs are already developed by SAP and recommended by SAP. We can directly use those programs and develop a LSMW on top of it. This is the fastest process in among all the LSMWs, because it won't navigate among the screens like in batch input processing, right? Okay, direct input is faster among all the steps because it directly goes to backend tables with the standard programs provided by SAP. But there are some limitations. Okay, see, in direct inputs the errors also like that only, database level errors nobody can see. It is not easy to understand direct input method errors. So once we got error, it is very harder to identify and resolve the errors and correct the data to fix that error and proceed further records. Okay. Apart from that, direct input is very fastest. And another thing is these standard programs which supports for direct inputs not available for many of the objects. For example, in finance documents objects, most of the finance objects are already available. We can use direct input and we can load plenty amount of data. It is very easy. Okay, because SAP itself developed the programs and we can use those programs. Coming to other objects. Okay, other modules, there are most of the programs are not available. We can't utilize direct input itself. Okay, so that is the problem with the direct inputs. There are advantages and there are disadvantages. Coming to batch input recording, so we have a T code called SHDB. Okay, we have a T code called SHDB. That T code used to record the screen. So we can directly use the session recording from SE35, SM35, or else from SHDB. After we create the recording, those steps will keep on repeat using our file. Just if data will get changed, but the same steps will get repeated. Which step? Where he clicked create, he given business partner name, number, roles, and contact information. Then he clicked next. Then he clicked add. Every step will get recorded. After that, it gets saved. That save will decide that session that record is done. It will pick the next record from our file, then repeat the same steps. Okay, batch input recording means is nothing but navigating through a screen, but this is the slowest approach. See, that is the reason manual data migration team pick very few records. They can handle only few records, but even though it is automated, it is slow because it has to navigate the screen. Advantages is very easy to develop, very easy to handle, very easy to understand the errors, because GUI errors, while see so and so is not available, that error will come. We can understand it, not like direct input. Okay, so batch input is easy to handle, easy to work. Limitations are most of the see not all the programs objects doesn't support for GUI recording. There are hidden fields like that won't capture in the batch input recording. So we can't do. For example, service providers. Service providers won't support for direct input, and there are some he nested screens. So it is not possible to, and there are dynamic screens also. Dynamic screens is very hard to capture basically. Static screens are easy. And another last thing is, see, it is slowest process. If you have just 5,000 more than 5,000 records, it is not better to use batch input recording. Okay, the next one is BAPI. See, BAPI is very simple. One of the ABAPer will create one FM or a program that exposed to BAPI. Okay, he will mention the BAPI parameters. So BAPI won't process the screen, but it will hit the database layer with reasonable restrictions. It is not faster than the direct input because direct input programs are developed by SAP itself, so they are too fast. Okay, coming to BAPI, they are also hit the backend tables, but pro they are still complicated. It's not recommended to see when some SAP develops a program, we can trust it, but we can't trust completely on typical ABAPer who is going to update the backend tables of SAP. It's not good. We need to go to the approach. See, tables might get updated, but we might lose the connections among the other tables and the dependencies among the other tables. Right? The records will be stayed as a orphan records. Might not be useful. See, SAP is not just a tables, right? At the end. So that is the complexity here. Otherwise, risk is very less. We don't see other screens, and we can fix the issues also. But when things are very straightforward, like updating table will resolve the issue. For example, we need to update a custom table. We can create a BAPI FM and create a LSMW and load the data into that FM. We are very clear. But if you want to create a business partner, you know how many things are involved in it. You might not know many tables that are related to business partner itself, but if you want to update the table itself, that is very wrong. If you want to update just one table or 10 tables that are developed by you only, custom tables, then you can use BAPI. You will have more confidence and it is faster. The last one is IDOC. So there are some steps. We need to establish the inbound. Inbound is nothing but IDOCs coming from other system to this system. Okay. So inbound IDOCs and you have to mention the partner profile so that it will communicate with the logical systems how the data should go, whether it is a function module or a file. So these things will get communicated in the partner profile and you need to mention the message type, basic type clearly so that what type of data you are going to migrate from the legacy system to S/4HANA system, that is also clearly should be mentioned. So you have to mention the IDOC connection, then you can develop the LSMW. It will work. And this is nobody will use basically, honestly. If you have IDOC approach, you will directly use the IDOC in BODS itself, then load the data, right? Why you trust the ECC system? Anyway, you are going to process some data, right? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so yeah, last thing is LSMW 14 steps. In first step, you will have what type of load method? Batch, direct input, BAPI, IDOC. Just now we discussed. In second step, we need to maintain the source fields. Okay. Relation between the source structures and define the source fields. We need to define the source fields for the source structure that we created. In third step, we need to link the source structure and source field SAP structure. For yeah, see, SAP structure was already created in the first step itself. In second step, we will create the source structure. Third step, we will create the source fields. Fourth step, will link the source and the target. In a fifth step, if we want, we can map the rules, additional rules apart from the direct transfer, and like move apart from the move, we can apply some operations in the fifth step. In sixth step, we can define the fixed values. Okay. In seventh step, see if there are some fixed values that we don't want to maintain the same value in the file for a particular field, we can maintain in sixth step. Since seventh step is execution phase. Okay, first six for 1 to 6 is a definition step. The second part 7 to 14 are execution steps. So we need to specify the file from which file we are loading, whether it is in the remote server or in the SAP server or in the local PC that we will select. We'll assign that file to the source structure. We'll read the data, we'll display the data and verify the data is reading or not correctly. Then we'll convert the data. So this will convert to the SAP format. We'll display the converted data. So we'll cross after conversion data looks fine or not. That we will check. Then we'll create the session that will run. Then we'll run that batch input session, whether it is in background or foreground. That is up to us. Okay. This is LSMW. In next, I will discuss LSMW batch input BDC. After that, LTMC and how many types of LTMCs and LTMOM and when to use which approach. These things I will discuss. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.